So I'll leave.
Cool.
See ya.
See ya. I'm sick of it. I'm there, clamped all day, and then in the evening I come home to this. From monotony to loneliness. Let me tell you about yesterday. Yesterday was an ordinary, lousy day, and yet somehow it was lived with a certain intensity. All day I worked thinking about the next tea break, next rest period. And that was my pleasure. And finally it came to knocking off time, but I wasn't pleased because there were no more tea breaks to look forward to, just hundreds of anonymous people making me sweat in the tube, and then the loneliness here that made me shiver. And I had toasted cheese and burnt the toast and my finger, and I sat here by myself and watched the telly. I just looked up at the ceiling, see? And there were these flies, hundreds of them, hundreds of little green ones that had come in through the open window. They were all up in one corner of the ceiling, hopping and crawling about, and I went on thinking about it for a bit, and then all of a sudden I was angry. I was furious with these bloody little flies and with everything, so I grabbed a pillow and I jumped up on the bed and I lashed out at them and killed them and went on killing them till I couldn't see anymore, and my pillowcase was thick with green specks and remains, and knuckles were bruised where I smashed them against the wall, and I was satisfied. For the first time in the day, because I'd done something different and achieved something, I was satisfied. So I went to bed.
Trams are experiencing minor delays between Wimbledon and Elmer's End, Beckenham Junction, because of an electrical fault at Belgrave Walk, good service on all other routes.
rail services from Waterloo East. This station is Southwark. Change here for national rail services from Waterloo East.
Yeah, I mean, they must have been very stressed. You know what I mean? And my mum would sit there, you know, obviously waiting,
Yeah.
knowing that the callers were coming, and she'd be waiting, so she'd be already primed, so she didn't rush in. She'd be already in there,
Yeah.
shut the door, and so I'd be left, you know.
And
to
they'd
deal
never
with it.
ask. I guess you are old enough, but they'd never ask why you were why you were there on your own. And
No,
your mum,
no.
they
I
wouldn't
mean,
ask
well,
where they
I
were.
mean, it was. I guess it was more a thing then that kids were, you know. I mean, younger kids were just left at home. They didn't question.
Yeah.
Nobody said, "Where's your mum?"
Yeah.
You know. And they knew. You know, after you've done it a few times, then they knew. Oh, it's him. Okay, so it's not this way. You've spent it, haven't you, on sweets? If my mum didn't have any money to pay the weekly instalment, it was my job to kind of answer the door to the caller, as my mum called them. The callers are coming. So she would hide in our little kitchen, which was tiny, and I would answer the door to the caller and say, "My mum says, can you leave it this week, please?" And they would make a note of that in their book, give me a bit of a dirty look, and then off they'd go. So then, you know, then about a little while later, there'd be another on the door, there'd be another caller, and again I have to do the same thing. One time my dad just happened to come back and collided with one of the callers, and so he caught my dad on the hop, and my dad hadn't got the money to pay him, and he said, sorry, he said, can I pay you next week? I'll give you 2 weeks next week. And the caller said, "My dear sir," he said, "if you can't pay me 1 week this week, how the bloody hell can you pay me 2 weeks next week?" and then walked off. Now Friday night was a highlight for me because on the television was this really great music programme called Ready Steady Go, and it was live, and you get all the big, you know, the big bands on, like the Rolling Stones, the Beatles, before they were mega famous. And so I'd be watching this and I'd be recording, sweating, thinking, oh yeah, and then I'd hear like that, and the dog would go absolutely berserk, and he'd be barking and yapping and everything. And so obviously it's all being recorded. So I would then have to go, shh, shh, try and my mum would say, "Go and tell the caller, go and tell the caller." I think this is Peter Cook and Dudley Moore on that. They were like a comedy duo. And on there it said Stella on there, but I've lost that. My mum and dad bought me this, yeah, so as I could so as I could record the programmes. And this was also something that obviously they would have paid for with one of those shopper checks, and it was called the Never Never. You had things on the Never Never. I don't know why it was called that, the Never Never. Maybe it's because they hope they never pay for it. You know. Yeah, its official name was Hire Purchase. It was always really fiddly. I would then go to tell my mum when the callers had gone, and on more than one occasion I'd go in the little kitchenette and I'd open the door and my mum would be sitting on the floor fast asleep. he used to come on a bike, and his name was Mr. Bogle.
Bogle?
I know, what a strange name. Alec Bogle. So because they dealt with them quite a lot, you know, then they were on first name terms, you know. And that's why it was quite weird when my dad said, "Look, I'll give you 2 weeks next week, Alec." And then he went all formal and said, "My dear sir."
Give her the prize. Well done, Susan. And a kiss too, I ask you. Right, you've got work to do, Lionel. You move that way. They're at number 9 in the charts this week, having jumped 10 places since last week. So here with Juliet are the 4 pennies.
Now then, I want you to tell me what you would do if I brought you your conductor set. How would you use it? What would you do with it?
I want one what's got a... You press a button at the top and turn the handle at the bottom.
And then what will happen?
A ticket will come out.
And will you take the tickets round?
Yes.
Will you ask people where they're going?
Yes.
What bus route will you be on?
I've got a bike, I have.
A bike?
Yes, I've got a bike.
But then if you have a conductor set, you'll be on a bus, won't you?
Yes.
Well, what route would you like to be on? Where would you like to go with it?
roughly drive.
Would you?
Less.
How much will you charge them? 1 penny
Less.
or more?
More penny.
4pence?
Less.
Oh, I think that's a lot, you know. What do you want to do when you grow up?
I'm going to be a sand lorry driver when I grow up.
Like Daddy?
Less.
Is that what he does?
No, he goes to work.
What sort of work does he do?
That typewriting work.
Typewriting, does he?
Yes.
But you want to be a lorry driver?
Less.
All right, well, we'll see what we can do about that.
What sort of people are unhappy at their work, then?
People that have to screw tops onto the tubes with toothpaste all day long.
What's wrong with that?
They get all their arms ache and their hands ache and they get blisters on the fingers.
What would you do if you got a job like that?
I'd get a new one.
Are rich people nice people?
Not very.
Why not?
Well, because they're too rich and sometimes they get a bit bossy.
What about poor people?
They're all right sometimes, but they do steal things sometimes from other people when they're not looking.
What about you? Do you have a lot of money?
No, well, I don't expect so, but Mummy says we're middle class.
What does that mean?
Well, I don't know, but just middle class.
Would you like to be very rich?
No, but I'd just like to have enough money to keep going.
You have to work to be rich, and it takes you about 15 years to be a millionaire if you want to work really hard. But if you work only for a teeny bit, you only get a bit of money. You never know how much money you'll get in a year or so.
Sometimes I do not really like, or I get a new pair of shoes, a new pair of socks, as long. If he gets a new pair of shoes and I get a new pair of shoes, it doesn't clash, I don't care, it doesn't mean anything. But if one of them gets it and I don't, life will muck, on muck. I'm mad, I'm really mad. Yeah, I'm ready to box him. You know what I mean? Where there's a stick of dagger on. You know that kind of a feeling, glass feeling. You can break his neck.
And where is this feeling inside of you?
Sometimes it comes from inside you. When you get them in a minute, you're gonna go.
Good girl. Yes. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. What's up? Yeah.
When the boy runs from the shop into the arms of a priest who says it's wrong to steal, He turns white and drops the bun in the street. He doesn't ask the priest why it's wrong to steal, so the priest needn't answer. Christ shed his blood on the cross for 3 in 1 and 1 in 3, to redeem sinners except those elected by God to be damned. The priest would be speaking long after the bun was stale, even when it had turned to stone, but the boy doesn't ask because the priest has one word that stands for many. This is the way that lies may pass unquestioned. If we'd answered, we'd have said, it's wrong to steal, but if you're starving, it may not be wrong. Ask why you steal. Ask, is the owner a thief? And then we'd need to use so many words, the spectators would have gone home to dinner, long before we'd finished. That's why truth often disperses a crowd and is met walking and is jeered at. She doesn't have one word for many. The priest would be speaking long after the bun was stale. Even fucking cock and arse and bollocks. Fucking duck. Fuck, I lost my place. This time, for fuck's sake. The boy doesn't ask. Oh, you cocked it up again, you twat. When the boy runs from the shop into the arms of a priest, he says it's wrong to steal. He turns white and drops the bun in the street. He doesn't ask the priest why it's wrong to steal, so the priest needn't answer. Christ shed his blood on the cross for 3 in 1 and 1 in 3, to redeem sinners except those elected by God to be damned. The priest would be speaking long after the bun was stale, even when it had turned to stone, but the boy doesn't ask because the priest has one word that stands for many. This is the way that lies may pass unquestioned. If we'd answered, we'd have said, it's wrong to steal. If you're starving, it may not be wrong. Ask why you steal. Ask, is the owner a thief? And then we'd need to use so many words the spectators would have gone home to dinner, long before we'd finished. That's why truth often disperses the crowd and is met walking and is jeered at. She didn't have one word for many.
What's the worst thing you've ever done?
Nipped out of my bedroom when I wasn't supposed to. Went playing football and got myself as mucky as anything.
Did you get found out?
No, I had a wash. Nipped in through my bedroom window, went to the bathroom, had a wash.
Well, I like going to weddings. You get lots of food and you have chicken. I got chicken, cabbage, apple sauce, cabbage, and we had jelly and tarts for fruits. We had jelly and tarts and trifle, apple pie, a cream tart, and meat pie, liver, and steak and kidney pie, and meat pie.
All at a wedding?
Yeah.
See her out there in the distance, moving slow. She's an easy rider, and she don't need no place to go, and she don't need no place to go. She's an easy rider. She only needs her motorcycle and an open road. She's an easy rider, and in the wind she sings her song, and here's the wind singing along. You're an easy rider. Father, don't deny your daughter her own highway. She's an easy rider, and she don't hear a word you say, and she don't hear a word you say. She's an easy rider. Outsider, it's good to see her move. She don't need money and she don't need clothes or even a place to go. She's an easy rider. It's good to see her moving slow. Oh yeah. See her out there in the distance, moving slow. She's an easy rider, and she don't need no place to go. No, she don't need no place to
yourself a deal.